In recent years, marvelous advancements in robotics have blown the collective minds of people the world over. Their precise movements, predictable behavior, and inhuman levels of efficiency make them perfect for certain roles. And whether they're assisting in surgeries, assembling cars, or simply delivering a pizza directly to your door, they really are changing the world for the better, albeit taking jobs away from some humans. Then you go from the sublime to the ridiculous. Robots that have useless or crazy functions, look completely bonkers, or act in a manner that's totally daft. Some are even immensely overpowered and capable of taking over the world, but let's not dwell on that one too much. Many of these robotic nightmares have appeared in our favourite form of media, video games, and today we'll be covering the absolute pinnacle of ridiculous robotic renderings. Before we start though, it's worth pointing out there will be no androids or cyborgs here, just plucky little robots who bear no resemblance to real human beings. I'm the well-functioning, perfectly normal human person, Peter from TripleJump, and here are the 10 most ridiculous robots in video games. Number 10. Claptrap, the Borderlands series. If you've ever seen our video about the 10 coolest robots, then you'll have seen that Claptrap made his irritating presence felt in that list too, largely because he thinks he's cool. So we feel it's time to exact some sweet revenge. To say that the CL4P-TP general purpose robot is annoying is an understatement. He's constantly chattering away about some inane nonsense, dancing like your drunk uncle at a wedding, or fleeing danger in a cowardly fashion, despite his braggadocious claims. What's even sillier is the fact that somebody in the Borderlands universe actually had to program the obnoxious little fella to act this way, which just adds to the ridiculousness of his existence in the first place. To top it all off, in the Claptrap's New Robot Revolution DLC for the first Borderlands game, he's reprogrammed to interplanetary ninja assassin Claptrap and leads an army of Claptraps to exterminate humans, who they feel have mistreated the little chaps for far too long. Given how feeble the irritating box is in the base game, this comes as something of a surprise. Not only that it happens in the first place, but also how tough his mega form is to beat. All-round ridiculousness. Number 9. Liberty Prime, Fallout 3. The Fallout series has seen its fair share of strange and wacky robots, from the very helpful Mr. Handy to his more combative counterpart, Mr. Gutsy, and all the fun mechanical friends encountered in the Wasteland. Of all the ludicrous machines scattered around though, Liberty Prime is perhaps the silliest, with a name so on the nose it reeks of American propaganda. It's also a hulking behemoth. Originally constructed to liberate Alaska from the Chinese communists, it never functioned until the events of Fallout 3, when the Lone Wanderer assisted the Brotherhood of Steel in getting it back online and programming it to assist in the Battle of Project Purity against the Enclave. Essentially being a giant death robot that shoots lasers from its eyes and punches holes through walls, Liberty Prime is virtually indestructible, easily tearing through the Enclave forces, all while shouting propaganda to mock its enemies. Supposedly, Liberty Prime was intended to be even larger than he finally ended up being, with the player riding in his head during the final attack on the Enclave base. Regardless, with Liberty Prime on your side, you could say, to quote the bot itself,
"Probability of mission hindrance, 0%.
Number 8. Dietor, Robot Wars Arenas of Destruction. Fans of the Robot Wars TV series will no doubt be familiar with this fluffy red, googly-eyed competitor. Dietor may not have been the fastest, strongest, or best robot in any way, but it was certainly one of the more memorable, mostly for often being set on fire, but still memorable all the same. Its video game counterpart fared slightly better, since the developers of Worst Games Ever alumnus Arenas of Destruction didn't incorporate fur as a material into their gameplay. This means that Dietor's armor was surprisingly strong, and its powerful flipper actually made it one of the better robots to use in the game, if you're patient enough to even play this stinker, that is. Even putting aside the flammable exterior, I think the guys who built this one had the word ridiculous firmly in mind when designing the aesthetic of the plucky underdog. Their matching furry red and black waistcoats were rather fetching too. Dietor appeared in all 4 of the Robot Wars video games, just illustrating that despite its poor record in the competition, that striking look raised its popularity. Even fan favourites Hypnodisc and Razor didn't appear in all the games, so good work Dietor, I guess. Number 7. Cortex Bot, Crash of the Titans. Only appearing in the DS version of Crash of the Titans for some reason, Cortex Bot is seen dancing on a small island and is later the subject of the final level in the game. Everyone's favourite spinning marsupial notices Dr. Cortex's henchmen stockpiling fuel for the rather imposing Cortex Bot, presumably for nefarious reasons. I mean, why else would an evil genius construct such a colossus? Resembling the head of Dr. Neo-Cortex himself on a large muscular body with a big N necklace, it's later revealed that the robot had only been programmed with the intention to boogie all the time to get people to notice it. Suppose even the evil among us sometimes just want to impress strangers and feel their adulation. However, the 100% ending gives some more interesting insight about the big boogieing boy, as Nina Cortex incapacitates Crash and her uncle, taking control of Cortex's minions and his giant robot, and planning to march towards Wumpa Island with the intention of destroying it. Now, if the robot was only programmed to dance, as we're told, why did Dr. Cortex also design it with the capability of destroying an entire island? Neo, I really thought you'd changed. You've disappointed me. Number 6. Dwemer Animunculi, The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. Players of the Elder Scrolls series will know that Tamriel as a whole is not particularly technologically advanced. Sure, the dragon claw doors, pressure-plated traps and the like found in Skyrim are pretty clever, but you won't find any technology you're used to here. No VHS tapes or CD players, you know. Kids still use those, right? Considering that things like magic, ghosts, demons, gods, werewolves, vampires, and zombie skeletons are the order of the day here, advanced technology is probably the last thing you'd expect to see when wandering the rugged Skyrim landscape. However, any players visiting ruins constructed by the Dwemer for the first time will have to pick their jaws up off the floor, as this ancient dwarven race was capable of building actual robots that still function to the present in-game day. Good thing they haven't gone rusty. I guess they must also have some sort of ancient WD-40. Oh no, that's modern numerals. WD-XL, mayhaps? From irritating little robot spiders to larger spheres that attack any unwitting dragonborns, as well as actual functioning lifts and the mighty Centurions, they really are a fascinating bunch. It would be great if the Dwemer could be explored more in upcoming Elder Scrolls titles, so we could see what other mind-boggling robotic marvels have been lost to time. Number 5. r.o.b, the Super Smash Bros. Series. Starting out as a peripheral for the NES, the robot operating buddy has made several cameos in many different Nintendo series. On the surface, r.o.b was a fairly innocuous robot with normal robot features, whose purpose was to act as a second player for the few people that bought him. But he was only functional with a few games on the console, and didn't last too long on the market. Fortunately for this adorable little fella, he's been given a second life, mostly thanks to appearances in Super Smash Bros., making his combative debut in Brawl, but also racing Mario and chums in the DS version of the famous kart racing series. Our poor buddy continues to be neglected in Smash, though, as he's the only character to ever appear in the series without a specially designed stage of his own, and only one specific music track in his honor. It was quite a brave move by Nintendo to include a failed peripheral as a combatant in their universe-colliding Smash Bros. Games, but here we are. Maybe if Sony ever release another of PlayStation's Smash equivalent game, All-Stars Battle Royale, they'll feature a Move controller as a playable character. No, probably not. Number 4. Vacuum Bot. BioShock 2, Minerva's Den. A 1950s-style vacuum cleaner that sucks up dust as intended and works by itself like a Roomba may not seem like a prime candidate for this list. After all, it doesn't sound particularly ridiculous. Well, let me tell you, dear viewer, the vacuum bots, powerful suction units from BioShock 2 Minerva's Den, gather much more than just dust. Yes, it seems the manufacturers of these products, McClendon Robotics, didn't spend enough time in research and development, as I assume their intentions for the Hoover were certainly not for it to go and collect massive objects. But then I guess they didn't expect Rapture to fall into ruins either. Whilst I'm sure you wouldn't want one of these overzealous domestic appliances in your home, they do prove to be quite handy for BioShock 2 players, as not only does finding and destroying the big dust suckers award them with an achievement, but they also contain useful loot, whether it's money, first aid kits, sentry turrets, or even full bottles of booze. Looks like I need to tinker with my Roomba a bit. I'd love to empty it and find a 6-pack of beer in there. Number 3. SentryBot. The Sims 2, Open for Business. Our mechanical friends are no strangers to the Sims series, having carried out many tasks to make the lives of these simulated characters easier, such as being servants and cleaners or providing hours of entertainment to get that fun meter up. Open for Business, an expansion for The Sims 2, added several useful bots, such as the Munchie bot, which sought out food for your hungry Sims, and the subject of this entry, the Sentry bot. Though it may appear to be a normal burglar alarm, catching pesky newspaper thieves, rubbish tippers, and serial gnome kickers, the Sentry bot is not all that it seems. This clever gadget can detect what malicious Sims are thinking, fly to their location, and give them a sharp electric shock before they can even do anything wrong, sending them running for their lives. If placed on a college residential lot, it will even give the evil cow mascot an unpleasant surprise, something I think we can all agree on is just wonderful. Children aren't immune either, getting a good old buzz of electricity through their tiny bodies for bad behaviour. Of course, it's true that the manufacturers of these vengeful bots deliberately created them to function in this way, but we still think something that hits children with a burst of electricity deserves to be on this list for its frankly shocking behaviour. Number 2. Giant Death Robots, the Civilization series. Anybody familiar with Sid Meier's world domination simulation will know that winning wars and crushing opponents is very satisfying. First appearing in Civ 5, the giant death robots came in very handy for any player who was getting towards the endgame and seeking a domination victory. Even at a basic level, they're able to crush strong enemy units and capture cities in a few turns, but upgraded giant death robots are capable of jumping continental distances across maps, walking across literal oceans, and generally causing wanton destruction without even breaking a sweat. Or whatever it is that robots do when they're working out. Do they leak oil or something? If Queen Victoria is stubbornly clinging onto her capital city, just send a giant death robot or two to capture it without a fuss, and your big win will be just around the corner. Even a single one is enough to give players a huge advantage and almost guarantee victory, but anyone with enough uranium and multiple big lads will crush other civilizations in no time. Even nuclear weapons can't take them down. These adorable units are so ridiculously big and strong that they make Liberty Prime look like like our next entry. Number 1, the Gonk Droid, the LEGO Star Wars series. In Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, something resembling a rubbish bin with legs could be seen aboard the Jawa's Sandcrawler. Originally called simply a power droid, its gonk noise earned it the new name GNK Droid, or rather appropriately, a gonk droid. In the deep lore of the Star Wars universe, these litter collectors are a knockoff version of a droid created by Industrial Automatons, the same company that designed the very successful R2 units like R2-D2. Making its first LEGO game appearance in the original LEGO Star Wars, the Gonk droid served no apparent function apart from some light comic relief due to its sheer ridiculousness. The little box with feet walks at a glacial pace, providing players with a great sense of joy from force pushing the little thing until it falls over and its tiny feeties flail around. It's quite adorable, really. At least in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, they do have some form of revenge, fighting back against stormtroopers rather than just being fodder for our amusement. I hear they're mounting a claptrap-style robot revolution. I think we might be alright if it's just them, but let's just hope they don't enlist Liberty Prime or the giant death robots.